Hi everyone, welcome back to the Vroom podcast. I'm Fernando. This is your weekly show where we break down the previous weekend's races. I tell you some of my thoughts, and we'll think about what could possibly happen the next race. I'm really excited. This last weekend was a really great weekend for racing, and I'm really excited to talk about it. Thank you for joining me, all y'all that are watching right now, both on video and by audio. Really appreciate y'all. Thank you. Wow. We had 3 really awesome weekend races. We had the Formula 1 Canadian Grand Prix. We had for NASCAR, the NASCAR Cup Series race at Mexico City, the first ever for points. So that was pretty big. And for INDYCAR, we had the Bomarito Automotive Group 500, which was an oval race, as opposed to last race that we had in Detroit, which was a road course. 3 very different races. But weirdly enough, there was a lot of parallels between them. I wrote here something, kind of like a... I wrote here as kind of like, just jumping right into the Formula 1 segment. My title for it was The Crack in McLaren's Armor. For months, McLaren has been untouchable. Both Oscar and Norris, they've been pretty back and forth in terms of trading wins or trading places, second or third, first and second, depending on the races. Obviously Lando had an edge at Australia and in Monaco. And then, Piastri has pretty much had the upper hand in mostly every other race, with, a few exceptions, especially, as of late. And a lot of things kind of went down during the Canadian GP. I think just like as an audience watching the full race perspective, I thought overall it was a pretty enjoyable race. I don't think that it was like the most exciting in terms of like racers, side by wheel to wheel unpredictability, have no idea where what's gonna happen. I feel like Formula 1 isn't necessarily like that. If it was like that at one point, I've come in as a fan into this season as my first official season watching the races live. And so I think, these cars are really impressive. And these drivers are also really impressive. And they're the best, to the point where they do such a good job that they make it look easy, which kind of makes it look a little boring. So that's that's obviously like really pointed, kind of intense criticism. Formula 1 is some of the most exciting racing on the planet. And I'll watch every Formula 1 race. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. So when we're talking about, what's really entertaining, the baseline is that Formula 1 is some of the most entertaining racing to watch in the world. And on that scale, then we're reviewing, with that intention, with that mindset. Oh, is it living up to that expectation? And I think that this race did. I think there was a lot of strategical things happening kind of with the pit strategies, and the tires and the grip, due to, I believe Canada was colder this last weekend that they were racing than, you would kind of expect for June. I think I remember George Russell talking about that post-win, about the tires and about the car doing better in this kind of climate comparatively to, where they're going to be going in the future. Let's get into the race. Some of the things, key things for me that I kind of saw during the race. Obviously, we're gonna have to talk about Lando Oscar colliding wheel-to-wheel crash. Well, not wheel-to-wheel crash, sorry, wheel-to-wheel dueling that then turned into a crash. It was really cool to finally see McLaren having a battle on the field. I think we've been kind of waiting for that other hat to drop. You know, when are they gonna actually end up racing each other? Because honestly, they've been pretty respectful towards each other. Mostly because also Oscar is usually like almost a lap ahead of everyone else, and Lando's just trying to make up that time. So it was kind of this perfect opportune moment to see, okay, who has that edge? And I think I talked about that last episode. You know, Piastri has, I feel, more of an edge, more of the pushing of the car. He's not as scared to go farther than what he thinks maybe the car can do. I mean, the car it's the best car on the field. I mean, it demolishes everything, every other car by a mile. But he's still pushing it further past that, because obviously Lando wants to win just as much as Oscar does. So, you know, watching the race and watching the collision happen, and I've heard lots of different reactions. I mean, for all, you know, we all respect Lando for so quickly and openly admitting that, yeah, I messed up. That was on me. That was a misjudgment, and it certainly was. I mean, he went, you know, they were battling. He got caught behind Piastri, and he kind of thought that as he was moving, you know, going to his left into that inside line, hoping that there would be a gap, you know, thinking that Oscar would maybe open wide and let him in, you know, not necessarily him thinking that he would let him in, but thinking that that opportunity would arise in that moment, and then he took it, right? And obviously, like, look, if I'm driving a car that fast, I mean, you have less than a split second, you know, to make those decisions. And obviously the parameter for a good Formula One driver and a great Formula One driver falls between those decisions, those moments where the driver has to choose a call, make it immediately, and bet on it being right. And in that moment, Lando didn't make the right call. He, in a perfect world, he would have gone to the right. I don't remember if there was a car coming behind them at a similar speed, or I don't remember if there was just in general traffic as to why he couldn't move to the right side. But again, I honestly think that in the heat of the battle, if you look at his dash cam, you know, or the cockpit view of him, it's like he is just, he confidently makes that move, right? And again, if I'm driving that car, I don't know if I would have made a different decision, because it was so intense, and I don't think this is necessarily going to affect Lando's game in any real way. I think that, you know, you misjudge something and you're done, and I think he knows that, and he kind of took it that way. It was great to see him not beating himself up after a race. I think that what makes Lando such a compelling driver to watch, though, is that pressure he puts on himself. I honestly think that that's something really commendable, because I do that too. You know, as a person, and as an artist, you know, I put this pressure on myself to bring like a truth to the world, right? Or I put this pressure on myself in my personal life to provide for people, to provide safety, to provide comfort, to provide love and care, and those are nice things, but eventually that pressure can get to you, you know. And oh, hi kitty, I have a kitty on me now. I have a kitty sitting next to me now. That's very cute. Oh, he just wants to lay down, so Sorry, kitty break for a moment. But so that all those thoughts and those feelings, it puts a lot of pressure on you, and as a McLaren driver in the fastest car on the field, when you're the favorite to win the championship, and that you can do it, and you just keep falling short. I mean, I understand the immediate need to protect yourself and your insecurity, and try to also, tell people and tell the world that you understand the pressure that you're in, and that you understand the gravity and the importance of your success. I do that all the time. And I think that makes him really empowering to watch, because he's so vulnerable up front. And I think that makes us uncomfortable, right? It makes us uncomfortable to see this big dude, he's not a big dude, but like, he bigger than me in the sense that he built, those dudes are strong. But he's a strong guy, and he drives for this incredible team. And again, I just can't imagine that pressure, and I think all of us just want to see him succeed. And I hope that he knows that, and I hope that past this, moment that he had, I hope that they have this weekend off. I hope he sits at home and gives himself that assurance that he needs, because honestly, no one else can give you that confidence and that boost that you require other than yourself. And no amount of comfort or someone telling you you're good enough or strategy or whatever. None of that is going to supplement your own belief system in yourself and your own confidence in your abilities. And that's what he's missing. But he has it already. And for me, I'm just waiting for Lando to take hold of it and be the champion that he is. I think Oscar is a champion too. I think that it certainly is. If he's having some issues, right? And I think that when you are being the most dominant figure in any field, your biggest enemy is yourself. And so he is having to outperform himself, and as of late, he's, I think, honestly been kind of a disappointment to himself, and that's on a really high bar, right? He's outperforming the entire field. He is still mad points away from everyone, but he really, I think that he has the edge, and if he continues to, and he's sure of himself too, It's not like he's coming out of a race and doubting the skills or the car, just realizing that day wasn't maybe his day, that he's going to have races like that. But it's the big picture, right? I feel like he can see that. But Oscar, obviously, and as we can see, still has lots of room to develop and grow. He's still a new driver. He's only been driving for 3 years, which is a lot of experience, but Lando is the more experienced one, and when we see them both on field and on track, when Lando is in the zone, he makes just as little mistakes as Oscar does. So I think the contention between both of them is still really close, and I don't think that this is necessarily going to affect Lando's game, because he seems to be in a different mindset now. However, the chances and opportunities, again, for him to find his groove, and for McLaren to, they see them equal right now, but it most likely won't be like that forever. They're gonna maybe have to protect one or the other, in order for one of them to win a driver's championship, because they have the constructors win, hands down. There's no contest there. So yeah, I think that moment was necessary for Lando. I think he needed to have that moment, that misjudgment moment, and then maybe realize that, hey, I know I messed up, but maybe all of this isn't. No matter how many times I keep messing up or something happens, I just have to stay level-headed, and I have to move on, let it go, and move on to the next race. And if he moves on and gets that confidence in himself, I think he could win the next race. That's on McLaren. Obviously, moving on to Mercedes, who had a much better day than McLaren, with George Russell winning the race. Love George Russell. He's one of my favorite figures just in the sport, just because he's so funny. And he's just like really dashing, proper dude, who has this sick sense of humor. And he's funny. I keep saying he's funny. But he's, tall, lanky. Like, I don't know, like but he built too. You know what I mean? So I don't know. He's just a really charismatic and fun figure to have in racing, and his skills are incredible. I mean, he's a very seasoned driver. He's drove with Williams for a while, and then finally found his opportunity in Mercedes, and then he is like, oh, finally, I'm the face of Mercedes now. And then Kimi Antonelli rolls in, and then they make a documentary about him, and then he is now he wins podium and is the third youngest driver to win a podium in the history of Formula One, and is certainly becoming the new face of Mercedes. And look, I obviously Toto will forever sit there and be like, look, guys, we love both of these drivers equally, okay? There's no first place. And like, look, you said that about Lewis and Valtteri, and he got the short end of every single stick. And he's your reserve driver now? Damn. That's kind of cold. Like, you gotta admit, that's cold. I mean, he's been driving for them forever, and he's one of the most consistent drivers on the field, and he isn't in a seat. Like, the whole Valtteri Bottas situation is in my opinion really unfair to him. Who cares, right? This is racing. It's not like George Russell and Kimi aren't performing incredibly well. It's not like Kimi isn't also necessarily at moments. No, but that's also, I was going to say, outperforming Valtteri when he was there. But no, Valtteri he found many a time to be on podium, and was one of the most consistent racers on the field. And honestly, him and George Russell, I don't know. That could be an interesting pairing. However, Kimi is the more interesting story, obviously, and he is currently and going to become an even bigger star as his Formula One career goes on. And he's also super charismatic. I love Kimi. He's this cute, short little guy like me. I mean, short comparatively to all the other tall dudes that race. I actually don't know how tall Kimi is. But I'm 5'9", so do and judge me with that information however you will. but comparatively, Kimi is a little shorter, and he's just a happy dude. He's just happy to be here, bro, and he's killing it, and he's exciting and daring. I mean, that move on Oscar on lap 1 is what got him the podium, and him maintaining pace and sticking to the strategy and making it work. And Russell getting pole. I mean, they dominated Mercedes this race. Now, does that put George in contention for a championship? I don't think so. I think it's great for him. I think that he did a great job, and I obviously think that he deserves to be up there, but I don't think that car has been performing well enough to get him there, and it doesn't seem like the team is confident that that's gonna happen either. So I think that this was a nice day for George, and he should hold on to that and continue to push the car. But I'm not expecting for Mercedes to contend with McLaren for a driver championship. Now, them staying in second is I think very possible, because Ferrari is just not vibing with Ferrari, let's call it. They're just not vibing. And look guys, I don't care what you say to show face, but something isn't working. So this is the truth, and we can smell it. And it's fine. These things take time, but like, let's not lie. Let's just be upfront. It's just not working right now. I don't know what y'all have to do, because Ferrari won hypercar, won at Le Mans. They won overall in their hypercar. So it's not like the Ferrari cars aren't good this year. They're fast. They're debatably some of the most fastest cars in the world. Why can't the Formula One car be like that? And that might be an ignorant question to ask, because cars are made entirely different, and not making a hypercar, making a Formula One car, very different, made by most likely two entirely different teams, and probably two entirely different sections of the business that don't communicate at all. However, if I'm in, like, I'm an actor, just as a preface for my next my example, but like, if I'm doing a TV show and on the same network there's another TV show similar to ours with better ratings, we have nothing to do with that show. However, we are still under the same umbrella, and we are being outperformed. And so, like, let's just kind of be real and debatably here. Like, Le Mans is one of the biggest races in the world, but does it get as many views as Formula One? I haven't seen the numbers, but people be talking about Formula One a little more than talking about watching Le Mans. So if the car that's outperforming me is a car that isn't at the standard level that I may be at, or that doesn't receive necessarily attention, if another section of the business is doing better, who maybe isn't the top priority within the company, is doing better than you, then we might have to question what you're doing, and we might have to question, does the focus have to shift now? I mean, it won't, because Formula One is a part of Ferrari's DNA, but that makes it even worse. If hypercar is winning, and if they're winning at Le Mans, and I mean, if you've been watching the World Endurance Championship, I mean, they have dominated every single freaking race. So what is Ferrari going to do? So they're not really, I believe, in contention like that for second, unless they figure it out, so Mercedes might be able to keep it. So good day at the office for Mercedes. And I think one more kind of, takeaway for me about the race is the psychology of pressure, I call it. What I mean by that is that, McLaren drivers are cracking. Not skill-wise, but mentally, right? Obviously, from the last couple of races, Imola for both of them, but, especially for Oscar, who was doing really well. Imola wasn't a good race. This wasn't a good race for him, where he wasn't really competing for first at any point during the race. And, and then obviously Lando has had lots of issues mentally, in headspace wise, approaching racing. But obviously this pressure at McLaren to win, or this pressure around their racing and their racecraft, something's happening there, right? And when you're expected to win every race, that pressure is different than when you are chasing, right? Piastri is expected to win. Lando is expected to chase right now, just off of the season stats. And I already covered this, right? Like Oscar and Lando cracking under that pressure. Now, comparing to Max, who drove a fairly boring race. We didn't hear a freaking peep out of him because he just kept his head down. And then he grabbed P2. And did Max not have immense pressure coming into this race with one penalty point left before he has to get essentially expelled for a whole race, suspended for a whole race? What a cool cucumber. To just come in, lay down the most consistent drive of the day next to George, take P2 without even making a peep. Still drove aggressively, not like he drove wimply or drove just quietly. He drove aggressively. That's how also he kept P2. But it's just funny. We threw a lot of shade at Max for his Mad Maxing syndrome at the last race, but he outperformed both McLarens. So I just think that there's an interesting, philosophy or energy happening within both of those paddocks, right? Like there's pressure within both Red Bull in order to perform because they have to be winning at all times. If not, it's a failure. That's true for every team, but Red Bull feel it a little more passionately than everybody else, I believe. And then we have McLaren, who also have a lot of pressure, but I feel seated with a little more evil, surprisingly, than Red Bull does. I feel like Red Bull is more in your face about how maybe not standard they are in terms of what's the word, like if they're more in your face about how far they're willing to go to win, showing obviously with trying to contest the George Russell win, which was kind of hilarious. They're really pulling for strings. They're like, we got to pull something because we need we need a win. Christian Horner's really doing everything he can for Max boy there in that crappy car. But yeah, also that Max outperforming everyone in probably one of the crappier cars in the field comparatively if you look at the top teams. So I just think that that's an interesting thing to talk about in racing, but in particular within these two teams is how they're dealing with pressure and how they're dealing with the need to win. I feel that McLaren isn't really setting their drivers up for success in that way, not like Red Bull necessarily is either, but at least Max can deal with the pressure, right? They at least have a driver that can. Yuki is not having a good time with that. He is certainly cracking under the pressure, and Red Bull is giving him no real support, it seems, other than the fact that he gets to keep that car. Hello. It has been a mere few seconds for you in a transition. For me, it's been about 4 hours. I had to leave for a moment. I had what's called a play reading. As I said before, I'm an actor, and I have this reading essentially for a play where we will playwright wrote a new play. They'd like to hear it out loud for the first time, and this is a part of a professional development program for plays and for theater. And so a playwright, again, who wanted to have their play read out loud for the first time, got into this program, and they asked me to act in it. And yeah, so I'm professionally acting in a show tonight. A fun little fact for all of y'all. And yeah, so I had a little rehearsal for that. Now I'm back. I'm excited to keep talking about more racing. Hell yeah. So I was just talking about Yuki, and obviously the psychology of pressure, and Max having a fairly boring race, even though he did get P2 and raced incredibly. Kind of moving forward, buttoning our Formula One conversation for the weekend. my personal power rankings. Up number 1, we have Kimi Antonelli, obviously, on his stunning drive, pushing the car and being daring behind the wheel, earning his first podium and being the 3rd youngest driver to do so. I mean, what he did during the race was honestly very, very impressive. I haven't gotten a chance to watch the, documentary that they made about his life, or about, his being chosen for Mercedes, and a little bit about his background. But I do think that this, his coming into Formula One, his rise so far, he had a really great sprint race in Miami. Obviously, I think he won that race, ? I forget. But he's just a really exciting driver to watch. And obviously he is, along with Isaac Hadjar, I think the 2 rookies this season to really actually keep an eye out. I think Bortoleto too. Obviously he's very talented. He's just in a tough spot right now. And Formula One isn't easy, and he's just maybe having a harder time adjusting to the car. Kick Sauber, and I think he'll have a better season when it becomes Audi, if and when they choose to keep him. But for now, Kimi is top dog, top rookie, and so he earns his first place in my power rankings this week. George Russell, ranked 2. We knew going in he would have an edge here, and he did not disappoint. On a winning strategy and outperforming everyone in consistency on the track, he breezed into a win. Yeah, he made it look hella easy, barely even stuttered out there, just put down a really solid drive. So number 2 for George Russell. Ranked 3, we have Max Verstappen. Yeah. Able to keep his cool, being arguably the most boring driver to watch during the race since he drove with no fuss. Still put down the most consistent drive of the day, maintaining great pace in a car that is not performing well. If he were in a McLaren car, no one would ever beat him, ever. And I will certainly stand by that. If he was in a McLaren car right now, we would never, ever, ever talk about Oscar or Lando. We would be talking about Max, because he would be winning every time. Max clear number 3. I mean, he pretty much is going to be on the power rankings every time, unless he does something really majorly stupid, like last weekend. but this week, no, he certainly is top 3 in my power rankings. At number 4, we actually have Charles Leclerc, and I give him that because he got almost a podium. I said he drove that Ferrari to deliver an almost podium drive. Look, I think that Ferrari is obviously a strong team, but I feel like it seems like their communication with their drivers and the car itself, the actual engineering of the car, is not equivalent to the standard of Ferrari and the quality of Ferrari. So for Charles to again almost get a podium when he got a podium last time, I believe. Got a podium in Monaco for sure. He's really performing well in that Ferrari, and again, it begs the question: well, what's wrong with Lewis's car? Right? I'm sure there's optimization stuff that they're still working out. Charles has had however many years he's been with Ferrari to figure it out, but still, when you're a 7-time world champ and a non-world champ is doing better in the same car as you, can't imagine that we're all that happy about that. So yeah, there's that. And at rank 5, I have Fernando Alonso. Now, I debated putting Esteban Ocon because he did get points for Haas, and that has been, I mean, how long has it been since Haas has really gotten any points? I know they've been doing better this season in some areas, in some races. And I debated putting him there because he honestly had a really great race. But again, Fernando Alonso to just continue to get points in that Aston Martin, pushing the car farther than its limits. He maximizes every opportunity on track, and he's finding an upward pace through the season. And I'm really glad to see that rough patch he was going through is done, because he's such a talented and accomplished driver, and honestly, I wish that he had made some better decisions in terms of what team to drive for, because I think that would have made the difference in his career. He probably would have more wins, but I don't think he regrets a single choice. I think he's happy with everything he's done, and it shows. And I mean, he's a brilliant driver. Fernando Alonso does not need to prove that he's a great driver. But essentially, closing out on this F1 race, is this a blip for McLaren, or is this the beginning of something bigger? Is someone going to actually give McLaren contention or competition for the driver championship? I think that's really the main question. Obviously, we're still wondering about whether or not Lando will be able to get his abilities back, or whether or not not his abilities back, but be able to put down a more consistent drive, right? Or will Oscar finally start cracking under pressure? Whatever. McLaren as a team, something is up in that, and they're starting to hit the cracks a little bit. Not to say that McLaren's going to lose anytime soon, but Canada should be a wake-up call, because Formula One things change real quick, and if you don't rectify it immediately, you're going to start lagging. And that's F1, I think. I'm really excited for the race in Austria. I think that's going to bring in a lot more fun questions and a lot more intriguing answers. So, yeah. Awesome. Moving on. We're going to go to NASCAR. Vamos, Mexico! Yeah, bro. We love Mexico. I honestly, it is really awesome to see NASCAR take this race international, and for NASCAR to see the cultural impact it already has on the world. I mean, I hadn't started watching NASCAR till this year. However, I've known about NASCAR since I was like 8. I knew who Dale Earnhardt was when I was 12. I didn't watch a race, but I knew homie was crazy. I knew he was pushing and brawling, and I knew NASCAR was not like a place to race nice. And I think also to see, international drivers in our American racing, I think is really cool for me, because we see motorsport as more of a global thing than a local thing. I think especially for the drivers that do drive, racing is a local at home thing for all of them. I mean, especially the ones not in Formula, because Formula, they get shipped off really early on in their teenage lives to go and race and learn to become professionals. And not that they're not doing that in NASCAR, but they're staying in the States. And that creates a different kind of energy around what it means to be a NASCAR driver as opposed to being a Formula One driver. When you're a Formula One driver, a Formula driver in general, I feel like you understand the impact you're having globally, that this is a global motorsport. And NASCAR, I feel like it's seen more as American driving, American racing. And surely it is the definition of American racing. It's unpredictable, or it's a definition of America, right? Unpredictable, brash, prideful, right? Aggressive, in your face, no holds bars, non-apologetic. Yeah, it was an awesome race in Mexico. I mean, they had rain, which most people could not deal with. Thankfully for our winner, SVG, he made it look like nothing. And he certainly showed why he's a supercar champion. I believe a 2-time supercars champion. And look, if you don't know what Australian supercars is, and if you haven't watched Australian supercars, go watch some highlight reels. It is very American. They don't care about who's on track. They're gonna ram you out, and they turn. They're not meant for ovals. These supercars, they're meant for driving on road courses. However, they're the same muscle cars. They're made differently, but they're still Mustangs. They're still driving Ford vehicles like Chevys. These are not compact cars. This is not your regular coupe or your touring car. This is a machine, and those cars
sound crazy. So SVG was not new to what NASCAR would be, which is why he came out on his first road course in his first race and won it in Chicago last year, I believe, 2 years ago. I can't remember. But a 7-second victory margin for SVG. Wow, 17 seconds on a road course. I mean, that's dominance. That's no one is even close to you. In changing conditions, it went from raining to dry to raining again to dry. The tactics between picking the slicks and picking the regular tires, the rain strategy really made the race. I feel a lot of drivers, that made the difference, and their comfortability driving in the wet, being able to push the car, right? Because you want to be more careful on the wet because you don't want to spin the car out, but because of that, you might not be going as fast, and SVG certainly did not have that problem. And I had read or heard that he had asked Max Verstappen for some advice, and I think that that's A, hilarious, and B, awesome. I think that maybe it feels like something very a big part of racing is that, like, oh no, man, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not gonna ask someone for help, right? But for you to be like, nah, like I really want to win this race. Like this means something to me. I know that I don't have all the answers. Let me ask someone who has experience in being exceptional. Let me ask them for help, so I can also meet that and outperform it, you know. And I just think that's what it really actually takes to win. You know what I mean? To be a really competitive and exceptional driver, it takes that ability to be honest with yourself and not lie to yourself, and to continuously be a learner, continuously be a student, and like that position. I think you need that in order to be successful in anything. And driving where it's very precise is no different. Yeah, the weather was a pain for everybody. Christopher Bell led most of the race, but he couldn't match SVG when it mattered. I love seeing Christopher Bell out there. I mean, he's this really nice, charismatic driver. I think he's kind of boring in the sense that he doesn't really like beef with anybody, which I guess is, you know, not necessarily like the NASCAR way, but he's a great driver, and I'm happy to see him consistently always in the top, because he really is just such a consistent driver. Chase Elliott. There's a lot of conversation around Chase Elliott recently, and for good measure. He's a 2-time champion of the Cup Series, and he hasn't really had the success this year that I think he was hoping he would have out the gate. He's with Hendrick Motorsports, one of the top teams. Kyle Larson is on that team as well. And Chase belongs on that team, and Chase obviously belongs in the top circle. I mean, he started 12th this race, ended 3rd with a podium. He's been top 20 every single race this season, and has been top 10, I believe, 5 out of the last 10 races. Half the races, he's been top 5. Or top 10, sorry. That's very, very consistent driving, and as of right now, he's certainly made the playoffs by points alone, and it'll be pretty hard for him to go under at this point unless he majorly screws up or someone really does well. And I think I don't know yet. Honestly, Pocono and the race after will kind of be the deciding factor on whether or not Chase is going to really be able to give contention in that way. But to see him in 3rd, getting a podium, being fast, love to see it. And I think the field is going to have to really start paying attention to him. I think that he can pick it up. I feel like he's gaining that momentum. I don't know if it's going to be another podium for him at Pocono, but I certainly can see him in the top 5 mix if he really brings it. So hopefully we can see Chase Elliott up there again. The kind of last key point I have about the race itself and the drivers, I want to talk about Daniel Suarez for a second. And I think the Daniel Suarez conversation is a little more important to me than maybe it might be for others. And look, like, I get it. You know, Daniel Suarez in the Cup Series is not, he's just not putting it there, right? Like, no one's seeing him as a threat. And it's just the honest truth. Like, it doesn't matter that he led some of this race. No one cares. You placed 19th, buddy. 19th. That's not good enough. And, like, what really hurts is that, like, you know, this is not necessarily going to be a problem for most people, but it's hard for me to see myself in these drivers, myself in my entirety, because most of the drivers are going to lack the certain bit of culture that I am looking to connect with, right? I'm Latino. And what I want to see a Latina person racing. Why? Should be obvious. How many Latina racers other than Daniel Suarez can you point to? None. In NASCAR. That I can think of right now. Yell at me if I'm wrong. That's why it's so important to see someone like Fernando Alonso. Now, Fernando Alonso is Spanish, and that is not the same thing. However, the culture is there. I can see myself more in him than I can see myself in even Lando, even though I really connect with his story and the internal struggle that he's going through. I can't connect to him on a cultural level, so I can't be like like that's a sign of who I can be, because sadly, in order for me to do that, I have to be able to see my people up there. And you know, I want to see Daniel win. I every time I see Daniel drive, I get so excited because I'm like, that's my guy. That's my driver. You know? And taking it to the Xfinity race, right? If you didn't know, Daniel Suarez drove in the Xfinity race the Saturday before in a backup car that was fixed because he totaled his car, I believe, during qualifying or during practice. So he was in a car not optimized for him, in a crappy car that was not meant to win that race, and he freaking won that race. He fought tooth and nail to win that race, but he won it. And for Mexican fans to sit there in that stadium, knowing that this is the first time that you're getting to see NASCAR up front, to see this thing that you've been a fan of, that you're like, you know, algún día van a venir, algún día tú sabes puede ver esa gente. You know, one day we're going to be able to go see those people, we're going to be able to see those races, and we're going to be able to see ourselves. And to have that moment come to fruition for a lot of fans, it was powerful for me to watch Daniel win and watch all those people be like, that's me up there. And for me to sit at home and be like, that's me up there. So cool, because that's something about culture that nothing else can give you, right? There's not. It's the same thing we would feel if we were watching a Formula One race and an American won. We'd be like, oh hell yeah, America, you know? Like, for me to see a Mexican driver, a Latina driver, that means a lot to me. So when I peer and I watch the Cup Series race, and I'm feeling excited because I know Daniel won Xfinity, and I'm not necessarily expecting Daniel to win the Cup Series race. I mean, he doesn't go from bottom of the standings to the top like in the middle of the night, you know. And it's not like he's some exceptional road course hero. However, he did just win the day before, so I'm expecting him to come with his cojones, with his balls in his hands, ready to race, ready to show up to everyone and be like, all y'all Americans, all y'all people, you're in my home, you're in my city. I'm going to show you what it's about. And then he barely even makes a peep during the race. And I forget about where he's at, and I keep checking, and he's down and down. And I think what really sucks about it is because I kind of expected it. I expected him to be down there, even though I really was hoping he wouldn't. And I don't know what the solution there is, right? Like, I can't be like, Daniel, you got to be a better driver. Daniel's doing the best he can. I mean, this and look, if the disparity between Daniel winning the day before in Xfinity and not even and barely placing in the top 20 the next day, that should show you the disparity in kind of this Xfinity is nothing like the Cup Series. These drivers are different. They're built different. They're made different. The driving is different. The skill level, the skill cap is different. Daniel has to perform that Xfinity race every time and then some if he wants to stay in Cup. And that's just me being purely honest, because Connor Zilisch is going to stay in NASCAR probably for another season. Hopefully that gives Daniel some time to actually choose to not choose to, I guess, because he's obviously, I'm hoping, making the decision to be a better driver, but to put whatever ass in gear he needs to put, whatever fire under his ass he needs, put it now, because if not, he can kiss the Cup Series goodbye. And then that will make me really sad. I'm being extra hard on Daniel, I feel, more than any other driver, because this is the only driver I see on the field that looks like me, sounds like me, is me. And so yeah, I hope that Daniel can figure it out, because more than anything, I would really, really love to see a Latine-born racer driver win a race. I would like to see it. I know Daniel's won Cup Series races before, but I want to see it happen live myself in my lifetime. So yeah, I'm pulling for you, Daniel. Seriously. I want to see you win, buddy. So do it. Go out there. Race your little heart out. Pa la gente. Okay? We're counting on you. Moving towards our power rankings for NASCAR this last weekend. Obviously, rank 1, we got SVG. Absolute masterclass in wet to dry conditions. 17 sector. I can't talk today. 17-second victory margin speaks for itself. So what happens when you put a world-class racer in variable conditions? His tire management and racecraft are on another level, proving once again he's untouchable on road courses. Yeah, SVG came out, said, "Y'all forgot about me. Hold on a sec. Let me just put it in the 8th gear." I don't know what gear it goes up to in NASCAR. 8? I see F1 cars go to 8. I don't know. But yeah, put it in the high gear. Let me show you what I'm about. And he certainly did. So congrats to SVG. Congrats on your win. Really excited to see what else you got. Second rank, I put Chase Elliott. The sleeping giant awakens. He started 4th, methodically worked his way to a podium finish with smart strategy, clean driving. 8 top 10s this year, including 4 top 5s. He's building momentum at exactly the right time. If he wins soon, he becomes the guy everyone has to beat. It's true. If Chase Elliott wins a race, forget about it. Everyone has to watch out. Rank number 3, we got Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell led a majority of the race, and he certainly showed that he had the pace to challenge SVG until the crucial moment. His consistency throughout the weekend was impressive, and admitting SVG was clearly faster shows maturity. Strong foundation to build on for future road courses. I think Christopher Bell is still in that development phase. Sorry. In which he's still going to need a little more time to cook and build all that racecraft. But I'm telling you right now, I give Christopher Bell another, I don't think it's going to take 5 years, but within another 5 years, Christopher Bell is going to be Kyle Larson peak level unstoppable. And number 4, and I wish I could have put this driver a little higher. I was hoping to during the race, but he kind of just lagged as the race went on. Alex Bowman. He had a quietly excellent weekend, fought his way into the top 3 during stage 3, and held strong position most of the race. When others were making mistakes or suffering mechanical issues, Bowman kept it clean, maximized his opportunity for a solid points day. I thought it was really smart that while Bowman was in second place and he felt the car lagging a little bit, he didn't choose to race all the other drivers, to be really defensive. He realized, okay, look, what matters here are the points. What matters here is that I need to make the playoffs. This is not going to be my win tonight. I know that. So I need to make sure I leave with the most amount of points as possible. If I spin out, if I damage the car, whatever, I'm going to lose more points than it's worth. So I'm just going to let Bell pass. I'm going to let my teammate Chase Elliott pass. And I'm just going to keep my head down. And Bowman, he did the right thing. I wish that car hadn't crapped out on him, because he really would have won. I really think he would have gone in P2. He just looked really good out there and had a pretty sizable lead that he just kind of lost as the race went on. So, yeah, that was a good day for Bowman in the office. And then rank 5 was kind of hard. I put Michael McDowell, and the reason why I put Michael McDowell is because he doesn't often get mentioned in the top 5. He doesn't usually kind of make his way in there, but he was consistent throughout all 3 stages. That earned him a very well-deserved finish. Stayed out of trouble, executed strategy, and showed that experience matters on road courses like these. At the end of the day, like, not all these drivers are going to be excellent at road courses. I feel like these cars ain't necessarily built for that, but, you know, it's a good win for Spire Motorsports. I think that McDowell really showed that car can have pace. And I'm excited to see what else Spire does. You know, obviously Carson Hocevar is also on Spire Motorsports, and he's one of those racers to watch too. And honestly, I'm just going to say this part real quick. I know that he got fined for saying some pretty out-of-pocket things during a Twitch stream about Mexico City. I believe saying it is a quote-unquote... No, actually, I don't even remember. So I'm not going to say what I think it was, because I ain't going to be putting words in people's mouths. I ain't that kind of person. But he did say some outlandish stuff about Mexico, but he knows that. And that was before he went. And then he went to the race, and he was like, "Oh, maybe a dude from you know, a small town in America shouldn't be talking about an international place he's never been to." Look, I don't care if you make an ignorant comment. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I make ignorant comments on a daily basis, right? But I'm not a terrible person, and I apologize for them, and I recognize when I say something dumb. And I admit that I did that. Carson did that, and look, he's on in deep waters with Ricky Stenhouse. This is all I gotta say. I think Carson's gonna be a better driver than you, Ricky, and I think that if you're gonna show up in Mexico and start saying you're gonna punch people in the face for doing this, doing that, it's NASCAR. I love that energy. However, I'm not going to have as much respect for you next to the person who says some dumb stuff and then is also going to admit that they were wrong. And they're going to check their feelings at the door. Right? Because this is racing. We're driving. Should he have checked you up like that when he was a lot behind? No, Ricky, no. But guess what? He's a rookie. You've been driving how long? Relax. How about you drive better, and then Carson won't have to bump you? Did you think about that, Ricky? I don't think so. All in fun. I love talking smack. It's because all these racers are so good. Like, I'm sorry, I don't drive cars like that. I'm sitting in my apartment talking about them. So my opinion matters as much as you would like it to. I'm just having a good time. And I hope you guys are having a good time too. This is a lot of fun for me. And we're going to close out our little roundup today by talking about INDYCAR. And I think IndyCar was my favorite race this weekend. It was the last race I watched because they literally took till Tuesday afternoon to post the race, which is also part of the reason why this episode is coming out a little later than I'd like. So I watched the race. Here are some thoughts. Kirkwood, win number 3. Alex Palou, ¿qué pasa? ¿Dónde está, brother? What's happening? Alex Palou dethroned. Second time in a row. I like that world. I like a world where we're getting more, we're getting different drivers winning. I can't say that different drivers necessarily includes Kyle Kirkwood since his 3rd win, but I mean, he's dominating, and I'm not going to take it away from that man. He's the only person to actually give contention to Alex Palou for first. So, Alex hasn't really been performing the last 2 races, so honestly, it has been anyone's race to win, and it's been Kirkwood. So great, masterful race from him, honestly. He's in a car that obviously is outperforming the field. He knows how to maximize his time in the car. He's strategically very well sound, makes smart overtakes, aggressive on the wheel. I mean, he's one of those drivers in a couple years I would kill to see in Formula One to make a test even. I feel like he could do some damage there. But Kirkwood, dude, first oval win for him too. Really, really happy. Really, really happy with that. And he deserved it. I mean, he performed so well that night. The Penske disaster. Jesus Christ. Will Power, DNF. Scott McLaughlin, DNF. Joseph Newgarden gets smacked the hell by Louis Foster's car, flips over, sparks flying. Homie almost thinks he's going to die. That is, I feel, what IndyCar is about. What American racing is about. And also why maybe I'm more inclined to say that as of this season so far, I have had more entertaining or more standout moments that I can pick out from the IndyCar races I watched than maybe the F1 races this season, right? I think that, there are hundreds of overtakes per race in IndyCar. Those cars maybe don't go as fast as F1 cars go, but something about them drives more aggression. And it's probably also the oval, right? It being a night race was awesome. The explosions at the beginning of the race, sick. And I think that the drama, right? Penske coming in, this was supposed to be their redemption arc. This was supposed to be the race where they finally come in and they nail it. And they come up short again by a mile. The cars just crap out on them. And Joseph, and I feel like McLaughlin had the most opportunity to really come out on top during the race. Will immediately got overtaken by Malukas. But Newgarden, being so fast and incredible as he is, and not being able to finish the freaking race. I mean, say what you want about Joseph, but the unlucky streak that he's been on. I mean, I know Fernando Alonso, I think last week was like, I am the most unluckiest driver in the world. Yeah, I would say actually that Joseph Newgarden will be taking that now from you. I'll put money on that. Joseph is having a much worse season now comparatively. If you look at where he's been his entire career. And yeah, that flip was terrifying. Thank God Joseph's okay. Thank God Louis Foster's okay. It's just one of those things that happens in racing. It's not really like it's anybody's fault necessarily. It was scary though. It was scary. I'm wondering what Penske is going to do. I mean, I think that they should just go out and keep racing. I mean, we should just keep moving on. But Penske obviously have had some problems within the paddock, or within their team. The lineup changes in terms of crew chiefs and leaders within the team. They're going through a rough patch. And so I'm wondering, can Penske kind of recover their season at this point? Because it's kind of thrown. I mean, they're not going to – I don't really see them placing their drivers anywhere in contention for a championship. However, can they at least pull together to get them all in the top 10 maybe? That would be a bare minimum for them. So hopefully they can figure that out. Christian Rasmussen. First podium, 62 passes. I mean, he drove like his life freaking depended on it. And Ed Carpenter Racing, maybe we're gonna start seeing some more oomph from their drivers. This is a great win for Christian, his first podium. And this is why we love IndyCar. Anyone can have their moment. Every race is unpredictable. Every race is aggressive. Every race, anything can happen. And that is exactly how I feel going into every IndyCar race. I can kind of anticipate what's going to happen in an F1 race. I can't in Indy. And that edge on my seat is what I love so much, and why I get so upset that I can't watch it live, or that I have to wait till Monday night, Tuesday evening for them to decide they're going to post it, because I just want to see it so bad, because I know it's going to be a good race. And they've been delivering consistently on that. The last several races, Detroit was a good race to watch. Indy was a great race to watch. Long Beach was a great race to watch too. I mean, I think Indy just has to do better about getting their name out there. So yeah, in terms of the championship now, Kirkwood is now in the conversation for real. Now he's only a few points away from Pato, who Pato got second. Love seeing Pato. Speaking of looking at Latina drivers who are doing well. Anytime I see Pato doing well, I'm having a good day, because that's my guy. That's my guy, Pato. I'm your man, all right? Number one fan out here. Mi gente. But now, can either of these drivers actually make it to doing something valuable with this opportunity? Alex Palou starting to have some hiccups. I don't know how long it's going to take for Alex to get himself back there. He will, though. He will. So can Kirkwood and Pato continue to develop, continue to drive up front? Can we beat Alex? Is he going to be the championship winner, or will it be one of the other two? Because I don't really see anyone else kind of catching up at this point. But yeah, that was the Indy race for me. We have our power rankings, of course, for Indy. Number 1, Kyle Kirkwood. Obvi. 5 years of waiting, and it was worth every second. First oval win with perfect execution when it mattered most. His final restart battle with Award was pure poetry, and you could see the emotion when he finally broke through. Andretti Global needed this win desperately. And Kirkwood delivered in spectacular fashion. I know they won last weekend, but if they really want to be in contention for the championship, they needed another win here, and they did. And so Kirkwood, number 1 on the power rankings this week. Good job. Christian Rasmussen making top 2 power rankings. The definition of a breakout performance. His first podium, 62 passes. Passes? Wow, today. And I'm going to go do a show later. Hilarious. I can't talk. His final... No, I lied. That's not what I was going to say. Ed Carpenter Racing's 6-stop strategy was bold, and Rasmussen executed it flawlessly. And I wrote that because I think he took an extra stop than he wanted to. I think he wanted to extend one of those stints, and he just wasn't able to. So making the 6th stop was obviously a gamble, but it worked out. He started mid-pack, won a podium, And it really shows that he has racecraft. He has excellent racecraft, and maybe eventually he might be in contention for a championship. So really exciting to see how he continues to develop at Carpenter and in IndyCar. Ranked number 3, we got Pato Award. Arrow McLaren. Consistency continues to impress. Matched Kirkwood's strategy perfectly and came this close to stealing the win. Wheel-to-wheel battles with both Daly and Kirkwood show why he's always in contention. And I want to see Pato win. I want to see Pato win a freaking race. He's so close. So close, Pato. You just got to push it just a little farther. You just got to push. Right there. Come on. I know that we can get just an inch farther than Kirkwood on the next race in Road America. Let's do it. Let's do it, Pato. Connor Daly. I've been waiting for the moment I can put Connor Daly on my power ranking, and he freaking killed it this last race. Incredible. He gained 13 positions, I'm pretty sure, totaling in the race. He took the lead at one point, showed the kind of racecraft that makes not only IndyCar special, but him special. Juncos, I want to say Juncos because I'm Latino, but Juncos Hollinger Racing doesn't often get up there in the standings, but Daly is an aggressive driver. He's intelligent, and he very much has the need to win. And so when the car performs at his level, I know Connor can perform above the rest. And I love Speed Street. I love his podcast. It's one of my favorites to listen to, and I'm really excited later today to listen to his podcast about the race and hear him talk about how awesome it was. And he talks about it with Pato. So a shout out to Speed Street. Listen to that episode if you haven't yet. Yeah, man, I love Connor Daly. I love Connor Daly. He's such a nice guy. He is an excellent driver, and he's just one of those personas in racing that you're like, damn, like if I was a racetrack, I want to be like that too. You know, I want to have that humbleness, that strength, and that confidence in oneself, and that edge. You know, it's really admiring to see what he's doing in racing. So yeah, love Connor. Shout out to Connor. Number 4 on the power rankings. Closing out our power rankings for today, we got Scott Dixon. It was kind of hard for me to pick who would be here under Connor, but I felt like Scott, you know, he's a veteran, still showing why he's one of the best. He gained over 30 positions throughout the race, pure racecraft and pit strategy. When others were making mistakes or getting caught up in incidents, Dixon kept his nose clean and capitalized on every opportunity. He just shows why he's one of the top drivers in all of IndyCar. And I believe he led the race for a good amount of time and even made the commentators be like, is Scott Dixon going to win for a second? And that's always good as a driver, even if you're in a non-win situation like he obviously was in. If you can make people wonder if somehow you're going to pull it, that means you're a really good driver. Yeah, guys, that's our episode today. That's all I have. We went on for a little longer this time than last time, mostly because I had a little more to talk about. This is kind of how our normal episodes are going to be. I'm definitely going to try to talk about all NASCAR, IndyCar, and F1 every week that we have those races. Stay tuned. Tomorrow I'm going to upload our Into the Weekend so we can see what we got going on going into the weekend. Yeah, guys. Love y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening wherever you are. And I hope you all have a really great day. Catch me next week. Again, cannot speak. I'm going to go kill myself now. See you next week.